Hey guys, how we going? Quick update in the fish shed. As you can see, no fish tanks, no extra fish tanks. We're waiting, still waiting. We've been told it is in the container clearance stage, so hopefully that means it's actually in the country. It's a fair bit of an order, but has taken a long time. Clearly the bore has been dropped somewhere along the line, but I know they're good bloody tanks, so they're worth the wait. I wanted to discuss a reason why that is actually a good thing and why I think it's going to benefit a lot of the rainbow fish, especially going forward. It's given me extra time to really think about it and just really decide where I want to sit all the species. Based on temperatures, we're starting to warm up. So pretty much 9 months of the year in here is fine, unheated for pretty much all rainbows. But that 3 months over winter, it's just far too cold. Certain species, goitas, they can go down to 11 degrees Celsius, that is. But your boys Marnie, your Parkinsoni, your Wanamensis especially, they cannot. Checkered rainbows, they're going to be a bit of a trial. I can trial them in some low buoy tanks and the deep water creeks as well. But instead of doing gudgeons and things like that I've discussed in previous videos and goldfish, I've rearranged how I'm going to do it. So pretty much we'll just go through this new latest idea that I've got as far as where the species are all going to live. So endlers at the top, then your guppies and platies and mollies. Not much different to where it was before, but I've just decided the goldfish, it's too much. With the goldfish, as far as this being only that amount of water, it's not enough to do it properly. So nano fish it is. Up here, Murray rainbows and goiter rainbows. And then under here is the 4 2-foot tanks. So these 2-footers, 4 of those just stacked side by side. Okay, so that'll be underneath. And I'm gonna decide, probably put their babies up in the low buoys, just while they're growing out, they can grow out the top and not jump out, whereas the adults, they may freak out a little bit. And I'm only going to have sort of 200 mil, which is maybe about that high. So my idea and concept for the filter as well, may as well discuss that while we're here. I'm going to have a gravel sort of channel, just river stones, standard. I've got 2 bags here and another one over the back there. So they're going to be a channel right through, and you're not even going to see that sponge filter set up at all. You'll just see the bubbles coming out the top. And the idea is it's going to suck and pull in all the debris back into the gravel substrate, you may as well say. It's going to act as a filter. That whole backside of them fish tanks are going to be one big solid filter. And then at the front, I can have it real low and not have to do what I know works, but I don't want to have this look now at the front of the fish tanks. Very MD inspired as far as when I'm doing feature tanks for people when I'm doing aquascapes. I don't have them this thick, but for breeding purposes, it just made sense to trial each and every method, and I like to see it at the front based on all of this, all the little bacteria that's growing through, the cyanobacteria, and even this, you don't know if it's picking up on camera, but it's like a little red, similar to cyano, but it's red, but some type of bacteria that obviously is anaerobic, lives in the very bottom and loves it. So the processes for these amount of fish, guys, still same thing. It's just this one little filter, okay? This is definitely overstocked. A lot of the babies that were down here, I shifted up, waiting to get actually some more tanks, and then I can start to divide them up properly. And all these are very much due for a water change, just for the tannin look. As you can see, a few of them looking a bit worse for wear. Doesn't affect the fish, it's just more aesthetics. But it really will be beneficial, as much as people say there's nothing beneficial in the water when you're just taking it from one tank, putting it to another. I beg to differ, because this is all tank water, and they got established so quick, so fast, because in the freaking water tanks, there's already all them bacteria that colonized in the water tank, shifted in here, it was already in the water, And then I just squeezed out some filters that I had from inside, and away they went. So I can't wait. The idea is, once all the fish tanks are here, I'm just gonna take at least 50%, if not a little bit more, and start to divert them in here, fill all these up at least a quarter, just with pre-matured water, really, is what it is. But it's just like pre-cycled water, and then top it up with the rainwater after that. Let them all get established, probably a day, and then start chucking in a handful of fish. That's what I did out here, and had 0 deaths. It was absolutely perfect the way it all works. So I'm gonna stick to that. As you can see, also I've got plenty of pothos, plenty of plants to start to fill up all these other racks with. Again, all these little changes and plans as I'm going through. I've really had to think about how I'm going to have it, because I don't want pothos going crazy. No one really talks about it, but first thing in the morning it drips. I'm sure I've mentioned this in a previous video, but I don't let it grow up and over these racks for that reason, because I've got all this power here, and as these leaves first thing in the morning, the very tips of them, they'll actually release water, and you'll see it. It'll just be like a water, like a rain event that happened on the outside of the fish tanks, just from the pothos. It's just that humid, and that's exactly what the plants do. They're respirating, they're ready to go for the day, and it's just like that morning dew. And then you don't want that mixing with your power. So keeping all that clear. So I'll be discussing that in a later video, how I'm going to rerun all that. I do want to make mention, I'll continue talking about what I'm actually going to be putting in all these places too, but I want to make mention that all these substrates here, wrap around here for you, got all my rocks ready, timbers, all these substrates. I'm trialing a few different ones. So I've got my Bunnings pile, and I've got my landscape pile, and as well as my nursery soil. So I'm going to be trialing a few things with the aquascapes and different methods, but I'm going to go for that aquascaped look pretty much on the majority of the tanks, rather than even like these. These are a lot lower, but we can even do better than that, and just really make it an aquascape for the breeders, especially the grow out tanks. I'm not as fussed. That's pretty much what these are. That's why when I'm getting my net in, I don't want obstacles in the way. I don't even want a great deal of plants. I prefer to just use the pothos and have the roots going in, than just fill it full of plants and have to contend with that when I'm scooping out all these little bubbers when they get a bit bigger. So continuing with the rack setup, as always, these videos are all over the shop. Sorry about that. Undecided, but pretty much guaranteed dwarf neons. Going to take up another rack there as these goiters shift across. They're also going to be in here where they're heated. I'm going to trial them up here because it does hold the heat, and even in winter being higher, they could and should be able to handle it. Going to trial just a handful in there, and then the other one, I've got a red phase coming through, which is very exciting, in the yellow Parkinsoni. Haven't noticed it so much in the orange, but definitely in the yellow. There's at least 3 or 4. You can't pick it up in this water, guys, but there's one at the very front there, right here, this bottom right corner. Very hard to tell because the water itself is yellow, but you can see it in person. It's actually got red in its fins. Now, how many red fish do I need when I've got the dwarf neons? I've got goiters, I've got all the rest, but it is a natural mutation, and it is in the wild there are red phased Parkinsoni, so that's going to go up into that other top rack there. Again, 4 2-foots underneath, and their babies or adults, vice versa, depending on if they're going to be jumpy or not. Undecided up here. Was going to put Wanamensis, but I have found out since, this is big news, and if you've stuck around to the end of this video, it's been worth it for this point right here. I haven't had a drama, as you can see, growing out and breeding a good amount of rainbow fish. However, they are very light sensitive, guys. I was racking my brain thinking it was a fungus issue because I don't use any, what is it? The bloody, I don't even know what it's called, methylene blue. I don't use anything like that medication-wise. I just keep it natural as possible. and I haven't had a worry with this rainwater. But in here, it's too bright. I've since put some leaves across and shaded, but putting eggs in there, I was pretty much getting nothing hatching out, whereas in the tank itself, it's being shaded, I was getting a lot more yield. But then you start putting them in the fry racks and they weren't actually hatching out. The eggs would just either fungus up or completely they just disintegrate, really, was what was happening. So that's one big thing that after 12 months or so of breeding rainbow fish that I've only recently discovered. It was just a thought, why, when I had this was completely black watered out, and there was like 1,000 rainbow fish fry, and then I started doing water changes and they started dropping, and I questioned at the time the water changes and all the rest, but now I really think about it, it was because it was so black, so dark. And then again, all these tenon tanks, wherever it's more intense tenons, I've had better success, and especially this one, I had this turned green water, and that's why all them boys Marnie right in there, they all started as fry, and they're all doing really well. I'm realising too, I'm talking and not watching where my fingers are, so hopefully you got that, but I'm talking about these boys Marnie down here. Green water obviously would have diminished the light, dampened its effects, as well as provided a lot more bacteria in the green water itself. But darker water, the better yield. So back to the Wanamensis fry. Up here, I've got a little light tucked away. See if we can get up under there. Okay, very stylish, very neat and tidy up under there, but that's going to be intense. So I either shade it with plants or floating plants, and I can grow them out up there as well, which, now I'm saying it, I probably will do that, because it's all I can really do in here besides getting a cover for these. But I like the idea of just being able to quickly feed them and see what's going on rather than moving things out of the way. And it keeps it as natural as possible as well, because obviously in nature you're going to get the sunshine happening, but finicky little things. Now, angelfish, they're fry and babies. I'm going to trial. I've got 3 underneath heated, plus their main tank heated, and then that's the only heating in all these racks that you're seeing around here is going to be for the angelfish. Tossing up whether I'd put Acaras in with them and just suck out the babies and put them where I want. But again, 4 2-foot tanks underneath and 1 unheated one, just to trial. Now, Medarkas. I've got the Daisy Blues ready for the top tanks, top low boys, and then underneath, sort of mid-tier, mid-coolness type Medarkas, and then the real cold Medarkas that prefer it colder are going to be on that bottom rack, because that's going to be the best bet as far as where the sun comes up on this side and comes around in this fish shed. That's going to be the coolest corner, so that's our best bet for them. And that's pretty much it, guys. So as you can see, we filled up very quickly with Wanamensis up the top, angelfish, the 2 the dwarf neons, the red phased Parkinsoni, goiter rivers, and the Murrays. What I didn't make mention of was the bottom row, which is going to be, from memory, all the nano rainbow fish, okay? Again, I wanted to make this video, hello, how you going? As a reminder for myself, but I could have made it a lot more profitable in here, guys. I could have just been like every other fish shop out there. It's not what I wanted to do this for. It was a hobby that became a bit more of a business because people really wanted these fish, and in our local area, not many people have them. So it's something that's worthwhile doing, but I'm not just doing it for the financial gain as much as it's just, I want the rainbow fish to keep prospering, and a lot of their native wildlife that they're living in, it's all in danger, guys. It's not looking good, not looking great for a lot of them. So the only way a lot of these are going to stay around in the aquarium hobby is if people like myself are keeping them going. So I could have just got goldfish, could have just stacked out more angels, could have done whatever's going to sell quickest, but I have a really soft spot for these rainbow fish, and any varieties, doesn't matter. Some people say a lot of the nanos and Madagascans and things like that aren't really rainbows, but all of them, every single one of them, has a place, and it is a bit more like Pokemon, I guess. A Skittles tank, you can have every single one, you got to catch them all, and I don't think you'll ever will, because there's new species getting found even to this day. So anyway, that's the video, guys, and really can't wait for these tanks. So hopefully, fingers crossed, next video I make will be actually showing you some aquascaping and doing it properly, making these videos a bit more professional and a bit more regular to discuss things, because there's a lot that goes on each and every week. I feel like I should record things more, just my wife gets over hearing me talk about it, so she mentioned, well, you just make a video and then you can talk to people that actually are fully, not that she's not interested, but you know, fully into it like what we are. So anyway, talk to you all later. Hopefully that wasn't too boring for you, but thought it was necessary, and I shall be talking to you later. See you guys.